Today's article is called For Many Urban Dwellers, Curtains Are Now Optional by Kate Flanagan of the Journal Sentinel. First, we're going to start with some vocabulary. Our first word is Third Ward. This is a neighborhood in Milwaukee. The historic Third Ward is listed on the National Register of Historic Places as Milwaukee's oldest center of commerce and warehousing. It was also the site of Milwaukee's most devastating fire and its most remarkable rebuilding efforts. Next we have condominiums. Condominium is an estate in real property wherein there is an undivided interest in common in a portion of real property, coupled with a separate interest in space, called a unit. Then we have plain view, something that is able to be seen with ease. Next we have condo buildings, which is a term used to describe a condominium. Gorgeous, which means very attractive and pleasing to look at. Next, privacy issues. These involve collecting, sorting, and disseminating information about individuals. Then there is illusion of privacy, which is a feeling as though one has privacy, but in reality do not. And then encased in a bubble is a phrase representing that people are able to see you within the confines of your home. Privacy boundaries, becoming more comfortable with what people can learn and see about you. Unfathomable, difficult or impossible to understand. Drafty, characterized by or admitting currents of air, usually uncomfortable. Hoard, to stockpile or store up for future use. So last century, a phrase representing something is outdated by 100 years. Trade-off is a process of giving up something for gaining something else. Urban dwelling, a place of residence in an urban setting. Security measure, actions taken to feel more safe. Inward, directed or proceeding toward the inside, coming in from outside. And then ritual, a ceremony, any actions done regularly in a set manner. Peeking means to look at something secretly or quickly. Invasive means something that comes in and takes over and is harmful to the original, undisturbed environment. And check out means to see what something is like. Now I'm going to read through the article for you. For Many Urban Dwellers, Curtains Are Optional Now by Kathy Flanagan of the Journal Sentinel. When the staff at Core Creative in the Third Ward assembles in the conference room, some of the neighbors are likely to show up, but not because they've been invited. They are a cast of characters who live across the street in big-windowed condominiums and whose lives play out in plain view of the conference room. They include a middle-aged couple who do a lot of partially naked cooking, and a young man whom Beth Crivello Wagner, Core's Director of Public Relations, calls Snooze Guy. His bed was pushed up against the window, and you could see him roll over, hit the snooze, and go back to bed for 5 more minutes, she said. One morning he hit the snooze at least 12 times. Really, what's the point of an alarm clock? We've all shared those moments in happenstance. We close the blinds in the bathroom the wrong way, and the neighborhood gets a show. Accidents will happen, but times have truly changed in a world where Google Maps can call up a fixed image of your house from anywhere on the planet. The rising number of condo buildings in Milwaukee with lake, city, or skyline views that are too gorgeous and too expensive to cover up doesn't just set the stage for minimal window treatments. It's part of a cultural shift in our ideas about privacy. We don't care as much. Changing view. As a culture, we're less concerned with privacy issues, said Dawn O'Braithwaite, the Department of Communication Studies graduate director at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, where they study how people manage privacy. She compares those who live without curtains to how drivers treat a ride in the car. Singing, eating, or even worse as they drive, the car becomes what Braithwaite calls visual privacy. You know that people can see you, but you sort of have this illusion of privacy, she said, like being encased in a bubble. Going through the motions of daily life in full view of the neighbors is a fact of city life, said Braithwaite, whose friends used to live in a Milwaukee high-rise overlooking Lake Michigan and made a conscious choice for the view without a care to the voyeur. In an urban setting, she said, you only have two choices, close yourself in or choose to open your privacy boundaries. Is it curtains? For our curtains? Before we began to reveal ourselves in ways once considered unfathomable, people drew the curtains for privacy when night fell. They pulled the drapes not just to protect the room from drafty windows, but to signal that the social day was over. It's likely a generational thing. If you're a certain age, your parents or grandparents probably pulled the curtains tight at the first sign of darkness. Now technology and social media encourage us to update our personal business as mood or location dictate and never witness a critical sigh or embarrassed blush. Reality television lets cameras roll behind closed doors, allowing us to watch strangers as they lose weight, hoard, or try to fix their out-of-control homes, kids, families. As a result, privacy feels so last century, and that could spell curtains for window coverings. Deanna Innes leaves the modern white shades open in her Third Ward condo for as long as possible in a 24-hour period. In the summer, I'll have them all the way up, said Innes, whose floor-to-ceiling moon-illuminated view creates a mini skyline panorama of the harbor and the Hone Bridge. The trade-off is that while she looks out, the others might be looking in. That comes with the territory. It's part of urban dwelling, said the transplanted New Yorker. Private thoughts. Across town in Whitefish Bay, Kay Ellers signals the start of her family's nighttime routine by closing the curtains in her house as a security measure recommended by police long ago. It's also a gesture she uses to mark time for her young son. It's definitely a time of day that we're sort of moving inward to home life, family life, Eller says of her evening ritual. I have several friends who don't have curtains. I don't understand that, she said. I couldn't live that way. I would feel like I was in a fishbowl. For me, personally, I don't like feeling so exposed. But even now, we aren't likely to pull drapes or Venetian blinds as our parents did. Advances in the technology, for instance, shades with the blinds built into the material, have helped make that trend more popular, said Trish Johnson, owner of Trish Johnson Interiors. She sees a movement towards simpler window treatments, and no window treatments at all in homes where the owners prefer a clean, modern look. Johnson said designers sometimes recommend standing panels, which add pattern and color to a space, make it feel warmer, and help absorb sound, but don't close fully like drapes. They might put blinds behind panels to control light or privacy. Heather Dorsey could see the downtown skyline from her upstairs window years ago when she first moved to Germantown for more space. The trees have grown high enough to obscure her view, which means they obscure the view of anyone who might be looking at the back of her house. Blinds do the trick in the front and side of the house, said Dorsey, who is faithful in pulling them nightly. If my son is doing homework, he likes to set up in the dining room, Dorsey said. That's enough reason for her to keep the blinds closed at night. But she knows some neighbors who don't have the same attitude. Driving or walking through the neighborhood, Dorsey admits peeking purely for research. I don't really want to see people. I would feel invasive even though they're the ones who have no blinds on the window, Dorsey said. I'm just looking at decorating. On display. Like Dorsey, a lot of people admit peering into strangers' windows to check out the woodwork, the paint color, or the decorating style. Others develop an unspoken system of what's private and what's not that falls into Braithwaite's illusion of privacy theory. Dorothy used to visit a friend in a Wauwatosa neighborhood where the houses were built close enough to see into the home next door. She asked her friend, "What happens when you catch your neighbor's eye from inside the house? Do you wave? Acknowledge each other in some way?" Dorsey said the response was confusing. If you're outside, you say hello. If you're inside, you don't. Lee Golden and Peter Perino bought their ground floor condo in the 3rd Ward 3 years ago. Now they can sit in their kitchen and wait out the crowds at gallery night, watch summer runners, storm the Bastille from the comfort of their kitchen, and enjoy a serenade from the guy who sometimes plays saxophone in the park across the street. The reverse is true, Golden said. Everyone coming out and into the neighborhood can see into our place. Golden and Perino keep that in mind when they purchase shades that would work from the bottom and top. By lowering the top of the shades, they can let the light in, but keep the outside view at a minimum. All you can see of their home from the 2nd floor of the Palms are some photographs and a light fixture. The right fit. The couple's previous residence was a 5th floor unit downtown with huge arching windows at the top. Honestly, we had so many windows to cover that we just didn't have them covered for a long time, Golden said. Talk about feeling exposed. Anybody at Why Not Bar or the gas station could see anything. You were very much on parade there. They like where they are now. Hey, it's my house, and evening, dusk, or nighttime, you're going to be able to see in, Golden said. It's just our lifestyle. We'll be watching TV, and everyone knows we're watching American Idol. Thank you for listening.